the Shyama podcast. I am Kaberi.
And I'm Obhi.
We continue our podcast series on our feature film version of Shyama, the dance musical by the Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore, with a look at how the Tagore dance style came about and how we prepared to film Shyama. We'll also show you another clip from the film. But first, here is Obhi with an update on Shyama's release.
First of all, if you're among the people who bought the DVD of Shyama from Amazon.com since the first episode, thank you, and we hope you enjoy the film. Please add a review and a rating once you've watched it. It'll help others to find out what Shyama is like. Thanks to all of you who sent in comments after watching the first episode of the Shyama podcast as well. Special thanks to Oliver in Brussels, Farouk and Jonathan in London, and Seamus in Paris for suggesting how we could improve our presentation. We hope you can see in this episode how we've taken up your suggestions. If you watch video on an iPod or iPhone, you might like to subscribe to the Shyama podcast on the iTunes Store. You'll automatically be notified when there's a new episode, and next time you synchronize your iPod or iPhone, it'll load any episodes you haven't yet seen. You'll also find the podcast on various video sharing platforms like YouTube, MySpace, Vidler and Vimeo, as well as on Facebook and Orkut. Thanks also to Danica in San Mateo, California for recommending iChoose.tv. We're on there too now. If you enjoy Indian dance and culture, remember that Shyama is an ideal film to screen for like-minded friends, or even for like-minded people you don't know. Just make it the central part of an Indian theme evening. All you need is a large screen TV or home cinema, and leave the organisation to shyama.bravenewtheatres.com. Now Kaberi will tell you more about how Rabindranath Tagore developed the dance style you see in Shyama.
Tagore wanted to explore different ways of enhancing his poetry. He set many of his poems to music, writing over 2,200 songs. These included 2 songs which are now the national anthems of India and Bangladesh. Tagore went on to use dance to express the inner meaning of his poetry. With the help of students and teachers at his school in Shantiniketan, he took elements from different dance styles and refined them to create his own, very distinctive style. Tagore started to create his dance style after seeing dances from outside India. In 1880, on his return from England, he found that his brother Rabindranath Tagore had written a play called Manu. He quickly added a song to the play for which he composed a dance. Shyama is the last and probably the best example of the Tagore dance form. Tagore completed it in 1939, 2 years before his death. The story of Shyama is based on a Buddhist legend. In fact, in 1899, Tagore had written a poem called Parishod, or repayment, based on the same legend. In 1938, he developed a dramatized version of the poem in which the characters were played by dancers. Over the next year, he extended this and altered the story to create Shyama. The dances of each of the characters in Shyama were inspired by different classical dance styles. For example, the dances of Uttiyo, an admirer of Shyama, were originally based on the Indian classical dance style called Kathak. In later performances of Shyama, the role of Uttiyo was performed using not only Kathak but also different Indian classical dance styles. These included Manipuri and Bharatanatyam. It is this version you will see in our film. We asked Professor Somendranath Bandopadhyay, a leading authority on Tagore, to tell us about character of Uttiyo.
Uttiyo ji কখন উপস্থিত করেন রাজুক ভালোবাসার মধ্যেই সে সার্থকতা দেখেছে, প্রাপ্তির জন্য সে ব্যস্ত নয়, এরকম অনেক থাকে। এটা একটা বিশেষ মনস্তত্ত্ব। সে তার মনে হয়েছে তার ভালোবাসাটাই সার্থকতা, প্রাপ্তিটা নয়। বা প্রাপ্তির জন্য যে আগ্রহ আকাঙ্ক্ষা প্রকাশ করা চেষ্টা করা সেই শক্তি তার মধ্যে নেই, সে দুর্বল, এমন হতে পারে। এরকম ভালো দুর্বল চরিত্র সংসারে অনেক আছে।
We will hear more about the other characters in later episodes, but now Obhi will tell you some more about how we made the film.
Kaberi wanted the film to be as true as possible to Tagore's original concept for Shyama. That meant that we had to film it on a stage. Most of the professional dancers, singers and musicians she was used to performing with are based in Shantiniketan, 150 kilometers from Kolkata in India. So it was easiest and cheapest to film there. We decided that a proper theatre would be the best setting. It would already have lighting and sound facilities. It would also have an authentic acoustic. We rented the main 750-seat hall of the Gitanjali Cultural Complex in Shantiniketan for a week. It has quite a wide and deep stage, which was just what we needed. In effect, we had found an ideal soundproof film studio in which to shoot Shyama. For the multi-track sound recording, we had taken our MacBook Moto digital interface and audio desk recording software. I was able to take the output directly from the hall's 16-channel mixer. You'll see more about how we filmed Shyama in the coming episodes, but now it's time for another 30-second clip from the film. The clip you're about to see is from the second scene of Shyama, which introduces us to Uttyo, danced by K. Jatindra Singh. It also introduces us to Shyama's companions. The companions have been trying to understand why Uttyo has been coming to Shyama's audience chamber several times without ever speaking to her. Maybe you know already what it's like to fall in love with someone without being able to tell them. Anyhow, here we see Uttyo trying to explain himself and the reaction of Shyama's companions.
Kadu tare dhuri bare kori pang akarang maya bono biharini. Hobe shokha hobe tobo hobe joy, nahi bhoy nahi bhoy nahi bhoy. Hobe shokha hobe tobo hobe joy, nahi bhoy nahi bhoy nahi bhoy. He premiko tobo shonisheshe atmahuti bholibe choromo phole.
Well, that's all for this episode of the Shyama podcast. If you'd like to let us know what you think of Shyama or the Shyama podcast, please write to podcast@shyamathemovie.com. We look forward to hearing from you. In the next episode of the Shyama podcast, you will see how early on in the story, Shyama is still looking for her ideal man.
Until then, from Kaberi and me, goodbye.